Item number 50 has five people signed up. Let's do that before lunch if we can. I'm going to call the people signed up to speak on this item number 50. Mr. Pena, do you want to speak on it?
What number?
50.
Mayor?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Pena is coming up. I just wanted to, I know Councilmember Flanagan pulled 46 as well. I was going to suggest a postponement so that we could talk about the funding piece and better understand that. I don't know if that's in line with the conversation you wanted to have, but if it is, I would be happy to make a motion right now to postpone until our next agenda, just giving us a little opportunity to dive into some of the details.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yeah, I wanted to have a little conversation with staff today about it before we postponed, but I think I am going to support that.
Support postponing it?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a little bit of a short day, so
Can
hopefully...
we table it, bring it back after lunch? And then talk to the manager about that. So we're going to table that for right now. We'll consider it after lunch. Mr. Pena?
You said item number 50?
Yes.
Okay. I guess it's an item regarding tasers, worn, body worn camera. Excuse me. I have medication, bad time. Anyway, Veterans for Progress is supporting item number 50. It's a good expenditure. We just support it, Mayor. I mean, we talked about it and we're supporting of it. And again, you know, I'm going to hold y'all accountable with this gentleman that's coming in. It better not be no more than 95,000 for this homeless issue. Thank you very much.
Okay. Is Emily Garrick here?
Yes.
Emily Garrick, Chaz Moore, and then Chris Harris.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Emily Garrick. I'm an attorney at the Texas Fair Defense Project. I just want to urge you, if you're going to improve this contract, then it's really vital that body cam footage like this should be made publicly available very promptly after it happens and automatically. Thank you.
Right now, everyone! Get down! Sit down! I understand that, but I don't know that. And you're all standing around a guy that's shot.
Oh, shit. Hands out to your side.
Stay right where you're at.
Side. Roll on your stomach. Roll on your stomach. Hey.
One shot in the back. Two shots in the back.
Roll on your stomach. Roll over. Roll over.
Everybody put your hands up on your head. All y'all, get your hands on your head.
Two gunshots in the back.
Roll over on your stomach.
No.
Turn over on your stomach. You're going to get it again.
6'11", 10'4".
Stay where you're at. Roll over on your stomach right now. Stomach.
It's going to be just south of 12th Street on Red River. Thank you, sir. Yeah, you said he had a red sweatshirt on?
Yes, sir.
Red sweatshirt?
Red hoodie. Red hoodie.
Thank you.
First of all, good morning, and this is the first Thursday of February, so happy Black History Month. I'm not normally here this early, but here we go. I signed up neutral for this because although I think the city could use the money and resources on other things, if this is something that needs to be done, then so be it. All I ask for, and I think I'm in solidarity with Chris and Emily and other colleagues, is that we have the policies in place to ensure that, one, these videos are released in a timely manner so the public can see what's going on, and increase the transparency so we can increase trust within the police department. And then also, if you watch the video, it was a lot of things that the officer was doing to kind of cover up the camera. So again, approving the contract is one thing, that's fine. I know a lot of people are going to come up here and just worry about like the big pie in the sky thing, but we need to worry about the details, and that's what we're here for today. Again, so you approve the contract if you want, because we do need cameras and things of that nature, but to make sure we have the proper protocol and procedure in place for the uses of the cameras is what's important to me. There's no reason officers, especially in this case where it's a lot of gray area, and I would say gray facts, there's no reason for officers to cover up the camera at all. If they always say that they're doing 100% of the time the best job, just let the camera play and let the camera record this footage without any, things blocking the view and things of that nature. So I just want to put that on the radar. Approve the contract if you must, but the policy that explains how and when and all that good stuff is probably the most important part. So, that's all I got.
Sir, you have donated time. Is Gabriella Beaker here? Okay, 5 minutes.
Hi, morning, Council, City Manager, Mayor. Thank you so much for the time. My name is Chris Harris. I'm in District 4. What you just saw, to give you a little perspective, is the video, the body cam video of the Quentin Perkins tasing. So this was a tasing that occurred almost 2 years ago, subsequently, the officers that were involved in that tasing were indicted for, among other things, assault, falsifying records. While this video was shown at trial, they were acquitted somehow on these charges, and the video was then sealed by the courts. And so only last week was this video finally made available via public information request that I had submitted, again, almost 2 years after the date. Chief Manley made a good decision to fire these officers. Their appeal is currently outstanding, and the arbitrator could come back any day with a ruling to potentially reinstate these officers. And it's bad enough that you can see them clearly use unnecessary excessive force on a man who's on his knees with his hands up. But what's even worse is that those two officers concocted a story to lie about that, to say that he was on his feet, that he was looking at the creek, that he was about to run, and that's why they had to do what they did. Unbeknownst to them was that this third officer was on the scene with the body camera and caught the whole thing. And so it's through this case that we see both the promise and the issues with body cams. It's because this third officer had the body cam that the police chief was able to determine very definitively that the officers had lied in their statements about it. It's through the body cams that the chief was ultimately able to make the good decision to fire these officers. But the hiding of the body cams from the public is part of why we might, in any day now, find that these officers now are going to get their jobs back, because the accountability, the transparency that we were promised with body cameras has not been realized. We don't see these videos. Now, we see often videos when they exonerate officers. We see often videos when they show the bravery of officers, but we rarely see videos like this. And part of it is that we do not have currently a policy in place, as some other cities do, that ensures release of particularly critical incidents come out in a timely fashion. Obviously, you want to make sure that any potential witnesses aren't aren't swayed by video released too soon. But once you've gotten witness statements, there's literally no excuse not to release this body cam footage. So I want to put that out there, that if this body cam contract is going to be improved, that this city make an affirmative statement that we've got to see these videos released and released publicly automatically by the department without requiring us to go through these lengthy PIR processes. And they've got to be released soon after it happens, so that there's real accountability and transparency into what's going on with the department. I also really need to mention that after the acquittal of these officers and the sealing of the video, the APA said that for the department to investigate these officers further was a witch hunt, which sounds familiar, doesn't it? And clearly that's not the case. Clearly the OPO, the internal affairs, and the chief were very, very warranted in appealing this, in investigating this case, and ultimately in firing these officers, both for the act itself and for the lying. What's even worse than that is that the APA response to this issue was not to attempt to change officer behavior, to ensure that their officers aren't using unnecessary and excessive force. It was to counsel all of their membership to watch all of the body cam video before they file reports in the future. There's literally media reports from this time last year when the department announced the investigation with the APA leadership saying just that this is how we should respond to this, not by changing officer behavior, but by having them be able to more fully concoct their story around the available evidence to ensure that they don't get caught lying in the future. It's wrong. and their participation in matters of criminal justice policy in this city is just is dubious, and they've lost all credibility. Anyway, I'll end there and just say that I think for many folks in the community, it's actually unclear the extent to which body cams are a net positive because of the surveillance, because of these issues with transparency that we see with these. If we're going to have them, though, the only way they even get close is if we get the video and in a timely fashion. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Okay, back up to the dais. We're on item number 50. Councilmember Kassar.
I'm going to speak to two of the main issues that were brought up today, both specifically Mr. Perkins, and then second, the body cam release policy issue. So, I think we've said it before, and I know we settled the lawsuit with Mr. Perkins, and we mentioned it publicly then. But after having seen the video and understood the facts, while I understand that it's a very stressful situation that was happening that night for everyone involved, there's no situation that is so stressful that makes what happened that night to Mr. Perkins excusable. What happened, and also I think that Chief Manley made the right call as it relates to making sure that the reports that we get are accurate. And so, again, I think on behalf of many of us, we do not feel good about what happened and what is in that video. But I do think it's important that we had that video, which is why I think it's important that we've made the investment in body cameras and continue to make that investment. Back at the end of 2018, the manager, along with our now police oversight officer, Muscadin, put out a memo to council saying that we would have a release policy that would be progressive and would make this investment worthwhile. It's been quite a while since the end of 2018. I understand from being at the city that sometimes things do take time, but I'd ask manager that we try to get something, if we approve this contract today, try to get something out by the end of next month. I think that should be more than enough time to do whatever finishing touches need to be put out there so that we can have automatic release in cases that are of real important interest to the public. And then also in cases where there isn't automatic release, for there to be an expeditious process for people to be able to get these videos, so that when we're investing all of this money to capture the video, that it actually provides transparency to the public. Because I think that's why this council first moved forward on buying those, and I think our very first, if it wasn't our second budget, but I think it might have been our first budget as a 10-1 council. So manager, if if at some point today you could let us know if that's too fast of an expectation to have something out to the community by the end of next month, do let us know. But I think that should hopefully provide us plenty of time. So I think the body cam policy issue is important, and then obviously there was no settlements that we could make that could undo what it is that happened to Mr. Perkins that night, and I think it's important that the community see that and talk about it. So thank you.
Our discussion, Councilmember Kitchen.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Cassar. As I mentioned earlier, in the comment that I made when I thought it was still going to be on consent, I think it's really important that this policy move forward quickly, and I appreciate the timeline that you're suggesting. So I am hopeful that that will come back to us quickly, and I think it might be useful also to provide us a briefing. We can talk about that when you send us back, but I think we want to have the opportunity to really see that policy and have understand from our community how they feel about that policy. So, City Manager, would that be?
Councilmember, certainly a briefing is reasonable, and I know that we were close in consultation both with APD, community stakeholders, and the Office of Police Oversight. I'm just confirming to manage expectations. I believe that the end of next month seems reasonable, so at this point in time, I'm comfortable saying that would be the path forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that said, my sense is, and we're getting close to citizen communication, I don't know if we're going to want to take a long time to discuss this, but my sense is that there's a will to have this move forward so that we invest the money, but that we expect the accountability section to follow quickly. Let's see how long we think this is going to take. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
If the policy will be here in a month, and I'm sorry if I missed if staff said anything because I had to step out for a little bit, but why can't we just wait to vote on this for another month? Did staff give some time pressing concern? And as context, I remember when we had, gosh, I don't remember, was it 2018? And there was considerable community input into the exact same concerns that are being voiced today, but wanting to have the additional transparency that these cameras provide. It seems like we're having the same conversation, and I don't know if it's because of LDC stuff that this didn't pop up earlier than it should have, because it's an important conversation, especially after a report about significant racial disparities happening in our police department. And so if this can wait until the policy comes out, I would prefer that.
Ray Ariano, Assistant City Manager over the Safety Outcome. The pricing that's associated with this particular proposed procurement is only good through February 14th. Should we delay this beyond that, then there will be, we estimate, a $9 million difference in order to do the procurement. The particular procurements of note that is bundled in this proposed agreement is regarding to tasers, which expired in January. In January. So we're shifting to a new system for the tasers, which are more advanced in terms of the capabilities they have, as well as being able, with the new cameras, to be able to meet some of the requirements that we're committing to under Strategic Direction 2023.
So what creates the $9 million hike?
Well, the quote that we have from the vendor expires on the 14th. There's a new pricing model that came out for 2020. We've been working on this contract amendment since September of 2019. So, due to the timing, we weren't able to take this to council till now. The vendor is going to honor the quote that we have that will expire on the 14th, and after that, we'd have to go back to negotiate with the vendor to bring a contract that would be under a new 2020 pricing.
And I guess knowing the discussions we've had about this, and it's the same concerns we heard 2 years ago, what is the delay in the policy?
If I may. So the Farrah Muscadin, as well as the chief, have been working on the policy, but as well the release of the information, which is uses the LA, Los Angeles process that's similar to that in terms of releasing information regarding critical incidents. The policy is pretty much done. However, there is work to be done and is progressing in terms of piloting what an incident might look like. And we've been using or getting input from the community as well as what this might be. So it's my understanding, I was just getting a text update from the police oversight that a pilot film is being produced. We should be able to get a look at that this coming month or so, and then we'll be able to see where we're at in terms of rolling out the entire process.
Okay, and just my last question before. Did this go before the Public Safety Commission?
No, it has not.
Okay.
Okay, Councilmember Alter.
Just for my colleagues who are interested in this subject, I just want to remind you that we did have a discussion of body-worn cameras and audit in finance, and there were other issues beyond just being able to make them public that were highlighted. Particularly, we looked at whether supervisors were looking at the videos in a timely manner, and there were steps that need to be taken in response to that audit. So I just wanted to flag that for folks. It is, from what I understood from the backup and from what Mr. Ariano and the police officers have said, there's a significant increase in the cost for delaying. And I agree on the accountability issues. I'm trying to understand how that's tied into the contract per se. I think that's a broader policy issue as opposed to in the substance of the contract. And I think we do need to improve our policy, but I'm not sure that we all agree we need the cameras. So I think we should be moving forward unless I can be shown that there's a need for that policy change to happen before we move forward with the contract.
Councilor Poole.
Yeah, I think it'd be really important for this to go in front.
Yeah, I don't know that you're on.
I can't hear myself, and so I guess nobody else could if I didn't have my mic on. I think it'd be really important for this to go in front of the Public Safety Commission. I think that it feels like a bit of an oversight.
Say it again. They couldn't hear you down there. Okay.
I should just tell everybody both my ears are stuffed up. I literally can't hear. Antibiotics are on the way, so I apologize. But yes, I'm afraid I'm talking too loud, but evidently I'm not talking loud enough. Thanks.
I think it's really important that we nail all the policy issues associated with this. And I appreciate that there's now a more definitive time put on this, and I think you see the desire. I think it has to address the issues that were raised in the Audit and Finance Committee as well, which were more logistical and practical uses. But under any scenario, I also think we need the cameras and the accountability so that we have the ability to have the videos like the one we just saw. So I'm going to support this contract moving forward, but it's real important that these other issues get dealt with now as well. Further conversation on the dais. Councilor Casella.
Mayor, I would rather not spend extra resources on this, but also would rather not see continued delays. As the Mayor Pro Tem pointed out, this has been something that I thought we would have done nearly a year ago. And so, Manager, are you able now to tell us whether this is something we could get done by the end of next month, or is that maybe something you could bring back to us later during the day?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm hearing the will of the dais and making sure that we're adhering to the commitments that we have from the community to move forward expeditiously on this. It sounds generally that we're on track to meet that deadline. Obviously, if anything changes, I'll report back to council as soon as I hear that. But without having heard directly from the chief and the Office of Police Oversight, I don't want to say definitively, but absolutely I want to make that commitment to you that we have a shared goal of getting this policy done by the end of next month.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this item number 50? Councilmember Torrio makes a motion. Is there a second to the motion? Councilmember Flanagan seconds it. Any further discussion on 50? Let's take a vote. Councilmember Harper-Madison.
I'd just like to echo the sentiment of most of my colleagues at this point. Thank you, Councilmember Kitchen, for bringing it up. I think, as brought up by one of my colleagues who mentioned that this hadn't gone before the Public Safety Commission, is problematic, to say the least. And I'm no great lover of task forces in general, but I do think this would be a great opportunity for the Public Safety Commission to weigh in on that transparency policy and us have, like Mr. Moore pointed out, have some really specific delineated protocol practice, if this then what, that we can disseminate to the community at large. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 50 has been moved and seconded. Those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed, Mayor Pro Tem voting no, the others voting aye. This matter passes. Thank you.